All right, it is. What is it? It's July 18th, 2019. It is a Thursday. I'm doing a show. I'm not doing the Getaway Cafe tonight, not hosting. I'm booked at a show with Zach Elk. Shouts out to Zach Elk. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's going to be a nice change of pace for me. I don't know how much time I'm doing, but as generally speaking, I seem to do like my sets seem to go much better when I'm not hosting, which obviously, so I have time to think and whatnot. But I've been, the whole self. What would be the word? Self improvement. I don't know. Self understanding, self realization, whatever you want to call it. Been working on that, and because I'm of the belief that I don't think that a comedian has to be miserable to be a good comedian. I think that is like an old school mentality. That being said, I think what okay, I think a good comedian has to kind of I think a good comedian generally is pretty miserable at first and then can get out of is possible to get out of the misery. Obviously, you can still stay in the misery. I mean, I don't know anything about Brody Stevens from what I've seen of his material. I think he's fucking hilarious, but he seemed like a guy who could not get out of that negative space, and I don't think that's always a good thing. There's this weird I don't know. There's this weird idea that like if you're a comedian, you have to be miserable. I don't believe that, and maybe it's just because I enjoy comedians like Kevin Hart and Bill Burr and Joe Rogan, who are very much about like self improvement. I think you can be self improving while also being a good comedian. Um, so that being said, self improvement. I think I was talking to Jonathan in one of the podcasts. I can't remember. We were hanging out talking, and talking about myself and talking about what I can do to improve and whatnot. And I think I was telling Jonathan a story about going out to the bar with Alfred Munoz, Ezekiel Echevarria, Nick Laney, and Richard Young. And I want to say Richard brought a friend. And that friend and I were chit chatting. I can't remember how it got brought up, but he said that I could come off as arrogant. Like he didn't really know me, and he was saying that I could come off as arrogant, which I believe. And I think that's interesting because his theory of why that is like insecurity, and I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there's some level of insecurity in there, but I don't know if that's what it is. Like in insecurity of wanting to be perceived as the smartest person in the room or knowing more than everyone else. I don't think it's that. I think it's more of an insecurity of knowing that I'm expressing myself in a way that other people are going to understand. Um, and I used to, I'm going all over the goddamn place with this one, but I used to date this girl. I probably should, I'm not going to say her name, but I used to date this girl who was into psychiatry and psychology and body language and microexpressions, and she got me into that. Like she taught me a lot about that, and I looked up videos, and I got really interested in it for a while. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. It allows you to kind of understand people a little better, like little subtle things. But then once you see it, it can't be unseen. It's like when when someone fucks up a movie where they point something out, and you just like, all right, if you enjoy Pulp Fiction, if you love Pulp Fiction, if you're one of those types of people who like, if something gets pointed out to you, you can't let it go. I'd suggest skipping ahead a second. But when you watch Pulp Fiction, when Samuel L. Jackson and what is his name? John Travolta are in the house with Brad and doing that whole scene, and that guy comes out of the bathroom and shoots at them. The bullet holes are behind them before he comes out, and as soon as you know that, you cannot unknow that. And that's kind of how it feels with the body language stuff. It's like everywhere I go, every time I'm talking with someone, there's this subconscious thing where I'm just constantly thinking about their reaction to what I'm saying. And I think that might be a detriment. Like I think that skill can be useful, but I think the way I'm using it isn't good. Um, and growing up, I feel like I was raised to believe that if you are thinking about yourself, you're being selfish. That's what, at least what I took out of my childhood, and I don't think that that's necessarily always the case, and I don't think that's healthy. So, all that being said, I'm I'm in this place now where I want to say it's been about 2 days now, where I've just been focusing on myself. There's still this piece of me that's worried that like that's going to lead to selfish behavior and egotistical and condescending behavior, but I'll try it out. So what I've been doing is I walk around, and as soon as my mind starts to kind of wander onto other people or how people seem to be reacting to my statements or whatever, that in my head I say, think about yourself, worry about yourself, and sort of redirects me back into focusing in just on me. And so far, it's interesting. Like it is working in the sense that I haven't been dwelling on other people, which is really nice. It's a good feeling. And I think I like it. I don't know. I mean, I've been doing it for 2 days, and it's still a work in progress. It's still something I'm getting used to. It's definitely made me aware of how much I think of other people and what they're thinking and they're feeling. And I think that that's part of it is an empathetic way. I do genuinely give a shit about how other people are feeling or what I say or do that then affects their feelings. But I think that I give a shit to a detrimental point, and I also think that it comes from a selfish place of just like, well, a neurotic place of, well, what are they thinking about me? Do they like me and all that bullshit? So it's been cool. It's been cool. It's a little exhausting, but it's been nice just thinking about myself. And one of the things I've noticed though is people seem to think I'm I don't know, man. I don't know what but people seem to think I'm upset when I'm doing that. Like I was sitting there just kind of being in my own head, sitting. I can't remember who it was. It was last night, but he was asking me if I was okay. It was one of the comedians, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just chilling." Um, and it's interesting. I don't know what's going on in my face that's making people think I'm upset when I'm doing this, but I'm really not. I'm just kind of relaxing, just bouncing around in my own little head. And so far I like it. So far it seems to be working, and I hope that that doesn't lead me to being a more selfish person. But fuck, maybe I need to be more selfish. I don't know. I think one of the things that um, is tough about it though is when I'm at shows and I'm trying to do it. It's really fucking hard. Like last night was at Brooks Bar, which actually went very well. It was a lot of fun. And there's a regular there. He's a Mexican guy, and he's cool. He's quiet for the most part. And I'm sitting in the room, and people are coming up to me and talking to me and asking me for stuff and all that stuff. And it was just kind of getting annoying and or overwhelming. So I purposefully went outside, put in headphones, got my notebook, like sat away from people, was looking at my notebook or whatever. And this guy comes out, and I don't know. I feel like headphones in the ear, looking down, staring at a notebook, holding a pen, and not looking at anyone is a pretty universal sign of I don't want to speak to anybody at the moment. But I don't know what it is about me. Maybe I've kind of already established myself as the person to speak to at the shows. But he comes up to me, and he's talking to me, and he's like, all right, man, tell me a joke. Be funny right now. And that was irritating. And I was like, I don't know, man. The show's about to start. Like, I'm about to, air quotes, be funny for like a goddamn hour and a half. So, I was waiting for the show, and he's like, no, just be funny. Here's your topic, Mexican. Talk about Mexicans. And see, okay, all right, this will be fun. So this is how my thought process works. So right now, everything I've said about this guy is what I mean. Like, I'll start dwelling on other people. And then in my head, I'll say, all right, think about yourself. And then I'll go right back to myself. So I don't even think I want to finish the story. But that actually was that was like a verbal example of what I've been doing in my head. Like I'll start dwelling on someone else, on something that they've done, whether it's good or bad. And then I go off on this crazy fucking train of thought, and then I just say, think about myself, and I'm back to here. That was interesting. It was an interesting little experiment. So yeah, I'd say that about sums this little thing up. I'm like running the light a little bit here, but yeah, just thinking about myself, focusing on myself, and so far I've been enjoying it, and so far it's actually made me a little calmer the past 2 days, calmer and happier. So I'll just keep working at it. Oh Jesus, here we go.